All right, thanks, Sonda. All right, welcome to the Artichoke, everybody. All right, by round of applause, how many people have never been here before? That's great. So in case you've never been to a storytelling show, we have 6 performers, not including myself, who are going to tell 10 minutes, I promise no longer, personal stories that happened to them, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. Everybody have a good summer? All right, so what'd you guys do? No, I'm just kidding. I'll tell you what I did. I traveled a whole lot, and last week, actually, I was in England. Has anybody here heard of Hadrian's Wall? All right, okay, for anybody who doesn't know what Hadrian's Wall is, 2,000 years ago, in the year 122 AD, this Roman emperor named Hadrian, during the campaigns in England, he had the soldiers erect this giant wall from east to west, 80 miles long, to keep the Scottish barbarians out of the conquered territory, right? And if you've seen Game of Thrones, it's what the big wall was inspired by, you know. So I have this. My mom's British. That whole side of the family's British, and I have an uncle who's British, and coincidentally, and and he's this huge history buff, you know. So he just turned 70, and on his bucket list, he wanted to walk Hadrian's Wall. So me and my mom and my stepdad and I flew to England 2 weeks ago, and we walked. It was just a 4-day walk. We didn't walk the whole 80 miles, but I really learned what type of people I'm related to. I'll tell you that. So, like, the first day we walked the wall, first of all, I'm an Anglophile. I love going to England. I have Marmite in my veins, you know. So I just love any excuse to go to England. My uncle is a history buff. Like, he gives history tours. And you know, the very first day we would be walking along Hadrian's Wall and walking through these forts, you know. And when I say forts, that's air quotes, because these are 2,000-year-old, but it's mostly just like some bricks, and you have to use your imagination. You know, they're like, this was the castle, and you're like, okay. And but he would get like emotional. He would get emotional imagining these Roman soldiers, you know, 2,000 years ago, and he'd be getting weepy because my uncle he's a fucking weirdo, you know. And at the end of the first day, we're all having dinner at this restaurant, and we're all sharing pictures. And my aunt Matters, it's short for Madeline, shows this photo that she found in this temple that we went to, and it's this relief carving of a penis on the ground. And I was like, what's that about? And my uncle says, well, in the 80-mile stretch of Hadrian's Wall, there are 58 stone penises along the wall. And nobody can agree on what they're for. Like, some people think they're pointing towards brothels, and some people think that it's part of this like protective spell, you know, to keep the Scots out. But whatever it is, we were very drunk, and I said, everybody put down 5 pounds. Whoever finds the most penises by the end of the trip wins the pot of cash, right? So everybody's in total agreement. Everybody's like, yes, whoever finds the most Roman penises along the wall, you know, wins 20 pounds, you know. And so the next day, it's their second day of the trip, we all meet for breakfast, and Matters has come down with an ailment, and she can't walk along the trip. So she and my Uncle Nick had to go to another town and find a doctor. And so it was just gonna be me and my mom, you know, walking the 13 miles that day. And we felt really terrible because this was Nick's dream, you know? So, like, because my mom, you know, raised me right, I said, well, Nick, we're gonna give you a 2-penis handicap, okay? So, which was hubris, by the way, because I'm thinking first of all, I'm the owner of a penis, and second of all, I'm a mushroom forager, so I have like a really keen eye. You know, I'm like thinking like I can spot a mushroom shape, you know. But me and my mom, we start walking, and it's just this glorious day. It's 13 miles. My mom's the longest she'd ever walked is 6 miles, so it was a real struggle for her, And but how often do you get like a full day with your parents, your elderly parent, where you can just talk about everything that's been on your mind for all the years? It was a really wonderful bonding experience. And like occasionally we would see, like in the wall, we would see like like a C shape, and because we're good, honest people, we decided that we weren't going to count any unless there was a shaft and balls, and we're decent people. So at the end of the day, we don't find it. We don't spot a single penis on the wall, and my mom is just she's so tired, and we're meeting my aunt and uncle at this brewery, and as we're limping towards the brewery, they come out and they start taking photos of us, and we're just like, beer, give us beer, and we sit down, and they're like, how many did you find? And we said we didn't find any. And Uncle Nick and Matters, this is all right. They say we found 8. And I was like, how did you find 8? I was like, show them to us. And they pull out their phone, and they're like, they went to all these museums along the wall, and they found all these penises in glass cases, like displays. And we're like, no. And they're like, you didn't specify, Drew. And then my uncle says, we found another dick just like 20 minutes ago. And I said, what? And he pulls out his phone, and it's a picture of me coming off the trail. And I was like, it's on. So this is last week. And so the next day it is pouring with rain, and my mom is too sore to walk. So it's just me against, and a family friend against me, my Uncle Nick and Matters. And it's pouring rain, like biblical rain, and we have 9.6 miles of Hadrian's Wall to walk. And we are walking through the wall, and I am like, we're gonna find so many dicks. And it's pouring with rain, and we walk 9.6 miles, and I don't find any. But that evening, Nick and Matters show up, and they're like, check out what we found. Perfect penis along the wall they found. And so, I'm like, okay, Mom, we have one more day. They're clearly cheaters. I'm like, we're gonna go along the wall. I want you to Google gladiator porn, and I'm just gonna take photos of your phone next to the wall. We're like, no, we're not gonna. We're gonna be honest. So the last day, we're all walking together, and I'm just sort of always ahead of everybody, because I'm like, I gotta find these penises before they do. And sure enough, the end of the day, don't find any, and we have to pay Nick and Matters the 20 pounds, and they gloat. So my mom and I were feeling defeated, and the first thing we do is we go to the closest grocery store, and we go to the snack section, and we buy this traditional British dessert, which is sort of this pudding with black currants speckled in it, covered in custard, because we weren't going to leave England without a spotted dick. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you have figured out that you are not at the Moth. We're going to be all over the place tonight.